Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's time to visit the Bowser stages, so in we go.
Ooh, that's a great start.
No, I was like,
like fucking 10 out of 10 start, guys.
no, I was like, that was what I meant. But
Oh, shit.
I just like my brain short circuited at the sight of these platforms, and I had flashbacks to Final Fantasy 13 of all things.
What was it? No, was it Bowser's Jimmy Neutron hairstyle?
Oh my god.
No.
Oh no.
I didn't even see that at first, but thanks for pointing it out.
Why
but
would
no.
you say that? Why would you make me think about that?
I think it was Elliot who mentioned it in our playthrough for SGP, and I can't fucking unsee it.
It's these fucking like platforms. They gave me a flashback to that tedious as hell area right before the Barthandelus fight in Final Fantasy 13. And I'm just like, ugh!
Who is that?
Barthandelus is one of the main villains. The first Barthandelus fight is, I guess you could call it like the Genova fight or something in the middle of the game where you have your first major encounter with one of the main bad guys. Problem is, Barthandelus as a villain is boring. His boss fight, on the other hand, it was pretty interesting. The gameplay got good for a few minutes there. But like, there's this area right before it that's all like these hexagonal sort of platforms over and over and over again. And it's the game trying to be wide open because there's like 3 rows of them in a wide arrangement that you can explore? ? And I don't get it. It was just an area that was big for no reason.
Does Final Fantasy 13 have like dungeons ever?
In the sense that the game is one long dungeon.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't count being a like a Final Fantasy straight line, 13 straight line. Ryan.
I gotta get everything.
Ryan.
What?
I'm just saying Ryan at this point. Because like part of the dungeon is the trying to figure out where to go and how to get through kind of element of it. You know.
Well, in that case, no. It's just one big Final Fantasy straight line until Pulse, in which case it's one big open area and then another straight line. It's a very zigzaggy straight line, though.
Yeah, because like Final Fantasy IV is an extremely linear game, but it has really good dungeons. You know, like you can have good dungeons in an otherwise linear RPG. Well, I guess you can have dungeons in a platformer. I don't know. You do you.
Well, I mean, I say linear, but you know, I can already hear in the comments the Final Fantasy 13 apologists saying, but the other Final Fantasy games are also linear. It's more that it never stops being a certain kind of undisguised linear.
Linearity, I want to point out, linearity is not some sort of inherent bad, evil game design sin. Some of the best games of all time are extremely linear, and are really good because of that. The problem with something feeling too linear in the way that Final Fantasy 13 feels too linear is more that it just feels like you're doing the same thing over and over again. You're walking in a straight line. There's some enemies there. The actions that you're doing don't feel like you're making any meaningful choices. It just feels like you're watching the game take you down a road and showing you, ooh, this is pretty, ooh, that is pretty. Versus, let's take a game like this, Mario Wonder. Also, every stage in this game, also very linear, but you do still have choice, in which order you play levels in, which does matter.
Isn't it also just to quickly add my piece to it, isn't it also just kind of fruitless to reduce a game down to the basic components for the sake of a critique, though?
Yeah, I mean...
Because at what point, where does it stop?
Well, I mean, that's just kind of one of those things about video game critique in general, You, to some level, you are, taking apart the actual experience.
Would it be accurate for me to say, the RPG is you go from one area to another and talk to things and fight monsters? It's like, yeah, if you want to be really reductive about it.
If you're trying to be extremely reductive, yes. But the thing about I'd say the thing about Final Fantasy 13 is that there's not much choice in what you do. Like, you don't really get to choose how you explore each area, because you always have to go the same way. You don't get to choose what enemies you're fighting, because it's always enemies coming at you in the same way. Games, ultimately, choice is a big determiner in how much fun a game often is. Not always, because not having choice can also make certain things powerful. But in an RPG, choice is one of the most fun things about it, because messing with the different systems that you have, discovering what works and what doesn't work, from things like picking what Pokemon you want to have on your team versus what items do I want to buy at the shop for my party members versus which I've got 3 different caves I can go into. Which cave do I want to explore? I
will like defend Final Fantasy 13 on that score a little bit, in the sense that there are that's a visual representation of what happens when you defend Final Fantasy 13. There are choices to be made and some interesting systems within the combat and the preparation for combat. The problem is that those are pretty much the only things that you have to do. And once you get into the groove of the combat, your approach to it won't really change all that much from hour 10 to hour 50.
Yeah, that's why I like comparing Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy 13. I find very interesting, because again, Final Fantasy IV, extremely linear game, but one that I like quite a lot. And it avoids the feeling of you doing the same thing over and over again by constantly switching up what you're doing. You always are getting new party members. There's always some big soap opera twist happening with the plot. There are side areas to explore in the later game. Not a ton, but they do exist. Again, there's not so much choice in the combat, because, you by the end game, you know what the good moves for everybody are, and it's not super challenging, but it gets through it with pace, snappiness, and just kind of a fun factor. Versus Final Fantasy 13, everybody I've ever talked to about it says the game drags, which doesn't help. Typically a linear game's biggest strength is that it can take you on a path that's a really fun roller coaster ride.
A focused path.
Yeah.
And knows exactly what it wants to do.
Yeah. Focused.
Oh, because of the crystal thing with the... I don't remember the names of the different bullshit you're going to do.
Try the elephant.
To talk about Mario for 30 seconds, the fact that they bring back the Metal Mario music for this, I thought was really neat.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also kind of weird, though, because it's not really a metal power-up. It's...
No, you're metal. You're conducting
metal.
Is it
electricity.
metal? Is it? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm just so used to like the chrome finish.
well, he has that.
And this
he just has clothes painted
okay,
on.
I'm more used to you looking like the fucking T-1000.
I get that, and it is a little weird. The multiplayer would be unplayable though if you did that, because Mario and Luigi would look nigh indistinguishable, and the Toads and Yoshis would look actually indistinguishable.
So you would know what it was to be completely colorblind and learn a newfound appreciation for their hardships, in other words.
Yeah, red-green colorblindness is the most common kind of colorblindness. So imagine being red-green colorblind and having to play New Super Mario Brothers with your sibling and not knowing which of you is Mario and which of you is Luigi.
But hold on, at that point, I mean, yeah, obviously you could look at color distinctions for an immediate tell, but at that point, couldn't you just look at character proportions too? Because Luigi's clearly taller than Mario. I know that's not the point, but
you're sitting 10 feet away from the TV and they get pretty small, and you're 9 years old. I have a hard time keeping track of my character in that game playing multiplayer with full color vision, and being closer to the screen than I probably should be.
Now I'm thinking of Harmony of Despair and the fun we had with that.
I mean, colorblind or not, you're not enjoying local co-op in that at all.
I mean, it was neat. Like, maybe if we were able to blow up the screen to be like on a movie theater, like so that you can actually see. I don't know if the resolution would be able to handle it at that point.
It wouldn't. It would only have helped so much if we had a larger screen when we were playing that, because like during the Dracula fight, the camera was zooming in and out, and in and out, and in and out. It was herky jerk as hell.
And we were all in the room, if I remember correctly, so it wasn't even like we were too far apart.
They didn't program a local co-op to focus in on the room if everyone was there. It was so thrown together.
So what are these? So these are clearly like a bullet bill variant.
I know the missiles are missile megs. I don't know what these guys are called.
They look like nipples.
They are baby bottle missiles? What?
Nipple Neds.
Well, that's what a baby bottle is. So, nipple nuts.
Because all the bills have a litter of names, from recalling correctly.
Yeah, I know it's the ones I know are
There's Bullet Bill, Bonsai
Ted,
Bill, Torpedo Ted, Missile. What was the other one?
Missile Meg.
Oh my
Missile Meg.
goodness!
Okay.
They're bullet bills who can wall jump.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, they
terrifying.
have a self-preservation instinct and won't explode when they hit a wall.
Only when they hit you. They're like bumblebees.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, improvement, all right. We're
Is
just
it,
happy
though?
that they're not. I mean, I don't know what's worse for the bullet bill, like flying into Mario and dying immediately when you hit, or flying towards Mario, missing because Mario jumped over it, and now you're flying off into the sunset alone, never to speak to anybody ever again. There might be a Brawl in the Family comic about that, actually.
Okay, so the actual official name is Seeker Bullet Bill.
Oh, boo.
That's
Lame.
Yeah,
my
that's a ghost head.
I swear to God, John.
That is pretty lame, though. I'm going to call them Nipple Neds instead.
Wait, what did you say their name was?
Seeker Bullet Bill.
That, yeah.
Because they do seek you out and, like, make a dart for you.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, I think that's pretty lame. I think we should get the franchising rights for Nipple Ned and use that to, I don't know.
You know, at least when there were points concerned, there was a reason to pick up duplicate power-ups. But now they just say good, great, wonderful, and it's like unless you reach a specific tier, you don't get a 1-up.
So, like, here's the thing. I know that points don't do anything.
They give you 1-ups.
Yeah, but, like, Brian already has 86, so...
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just talking general game design here. Like,
Yeah,
not everyone who plays this game is going to be playing through it without dying.
Yeah.
So,
Like, I know that points aren't super meaningful, but, like, there's no harm in having them, you know? It's neat to see big number go up. Granted, that's more for, like, kind of score-based games, like, where the score attack matters, you know.
honestly, I think the hacker-dominated leaderboard culture soured the opinions of a lot of gamers on the concept of points. Like,
I agree, but the hacker-dominated leaderboards for speedrun type games, like time trials and whatnot, are the same sort of thing, and speedrunning is still incredibly popular. So,
well, yeah, but it's not incredibly popular on leaderboards. It at least has, you know, live streams to keep it alive.
Well, not leaderboards in-game.
No one's using in-game leaderboards as a measure of how good a player is, because more often than not, they are hacked.
I think, was it Sonic 4 where they were able to hack it so that you had negative times on the leaderboards?
What are you running backwards, Sonic?
Yeah, they did a Superman where they ran so fast around the planet and spun in reverse.
I think the gaming community secretly resents leaderboard hackers for pushing the entire industry toward using stuff like Denuvo to try and prevent tampering.
At the same time, and I can only speak for myself, so I'll take my word with a grain of salt. I have never really cared for the leaderboard, like even as a kid.
You didn't want to be able to put ASS on that leaderboard at the arcade?
Going to like the arcade, obviously, and trying to honestly, it wasn't so much about the leaderboard. It was me just trying to beat the fucking game.
Yeah, but
Like at that point, like score is irrelevant. And if I can manage to get a name in, that's fine, but I don't really care for it. It's not a selling point.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of gamers like the social element of going to an arcade and trying to beat each other's scores. You know, after you beat a game, what else do you have to do?
Play something else.
Well, not at the arcade. It's they have the games that they have, and you have to wait for them to get new stuff. It's not like you can pester your parents to buy.
That's a fun little thing. Fucking, if you guys during the arcade heyday, assuming you guys went frequently, like, were you always making a beeline for a specific game, or were you just grabbing a bag of quarters and just trying everything out?
I never had an arcade close enough that I was able to go to regularly enough to know what they had in that way. Like, it was more like, ooh, an arcade, what do they have? And I would look around and, you know, pick what I wanted to play.
Look, I never lived in arcade country, so the only arcade I had was the dinky little arcade at the back of the skating rink. And they had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and pinball, and that was about it. So, wasn't exactly spoiled for choice there. But, you know, the arcade scene is particularly popular in Japan, and that culture of going after each other's high scores is particularly popular over there.
There are rhythm game communities. Like, rhythm game is a I know a genre, at least in the West, that where score does matter and people do. Like, there are local DDR groups where they will compare top scores and whatnot on certain things. So it still exists. It's just, you know.
Well, it's not like you can speed run through the Fire and Flames, you know.
Well,
you can. You just get a bad score.
Well, I mean, the song's always 7.5 minutes long. No matter.
Yeah, no one says you have to complete the song.
Well, I mean, in that case, the fastest speedrun of Skyrim is turning the game off and turning it on and turning it off immediately.
Fastest way to end the song. Hey, all right, watch this. I ain't gonna do shit.
How fast can you die in Skyrim? You know, there is a channel that does how fast can you touch grass challenges in these games.
Oh, dude, I love those challenges. They were trying to do how fast you could touch Toad, and Toad couldn't self-touch was the rule. So Mario 2 USA, you could not touch Toad, and he was very sad about that. Oh, man. My favorite one was how fast can you get a life in each Mario game, so how fast could you find a 1-up mushroom? Because people kept telling him to get a life, and so he was like, okay.
All right, I will.
It was the same joke with the touch grass thing. People would say touch grass in the comments.
Touch grass, yeah.
So... I don't understand that touch grass thing, because, like, even the most outdoorsy person doesn't deliberately go out of the way to bend over and touch grass. They're usually more interested in other things.
Come on, you know, touch grass is just used for the terminally online shitheads.
Yeah, I think it first came from, like, a Twitter thread or whatnot, where somebody was just so clearly, like, hadn't been outside, and this person, the reply was like, go outside, talk to people, touch some grass, experience the real world, or something like that. And of course, the internet being the internet, they just latched onto that specific phrase.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense.
If I remember correctly, the phrase touch grass probably originated years and years ago, so...
Probably by The Simpsons.
I mean, like, probably.
Like 1/3 of the memes that exist do, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that, like, where did this specific meme come from? It's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's the 3 degrees of The Simpsons. If it wasn't The Simpsons or directly inspired by The Simpsons, it's inspired by something that was inspired by The Simpsons. It's actually really funny how much of my humor is dictated by The Simpsons, considering I've watched maybe a collective total of 4 episodes of The Simpsons over my entire life.
You've probably watched a lot more through osmosis without realizing it.
Yeah, exactly. Which honestly, given my history with stuff like this, means I probably wouldn't find The Simpsons that funny if I were to watch it today.
It depends on what season, because, like, it's a bit like Family Guy in the sense that the early stuff is the best and is kind of timeless. But
I'm more talking about in the I've heard all the jokes already sort of realm. I've told this story before, but when I watched Monty Python in the Holy Grail for the first time, I watched it being actually pissed off because I had heard, not figuratively, literally every joke in the whole movie before I watched it. And I was actually pissed off
Yep, that'll do it.
because I'm like,
And the last time you mentioned that, I told you the remedy to that is Life of Brian. Watch that instead.
yes, that is correct. But
I would say some good old blunt force trauma to help you forget those memories so that you can rewatch it again with a blank slate.
Always look on the bright side of life, my friends. Anyway.
every time I try that, John, I keep forgetting important things like my social security number, or if I'd eaten breakfast that day, or something
if
else.
You've forgotten
I
that you hold on. Silver lining. If you've forgotten that you eat breakfast that day, that's a perfect excuse to have breakfast again.
And then you wonder how you gained so much weight last week.
That's irrelevant. The point is, I had breakfast twice.
The man does speak the truth.
The Epic Wonder? Is that an actual line in this game?
Don't actually talk about the game. There's only a couple seconds left.
Epic Wonder. Bowser just said the word epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the year 2011, and you can call something epic gamer time, and people will take you seriously.
I don't know how to feel about this.